At just 25 years old, Luka Doncic is already a 5-time All-NBA selection, one of the best players on the planet, and last season, he carried the Dallas Mavericks to the NBA Finals.
As he so desperately wants to play, this is the furthest. Oh, Doncic!
But now, he's a Los Angeles Laker. That's right, Luka is heading to Hollywood in a blockbuster trade for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a future first-round pick. And if history tells us anything, the Lakers just set themselves up for another dynasty. How did this happen? And is this the moment that changes basketball forever? Let's break it down. In a world where almost every potential move or conversation gets leaked to one of the ever-present NBA insiders, this one hit like an H-bomb. The news was so seismic and unexpected that the first reasonable reaction to Shams' tweet was, oh, he must have been hacked. But then Charania confirmed the news was legit, his X account hadn't been compromised, and soon, other insiders from ESPN and The Athletic started backing up the report. All hell broke loose. Let's get this straight from the outset. Perennial top 5 MVP contenders, arguably the best, most brutally efficient, and unstoppable offensive players under 30, don't usually get traded in season without a trade request. Yet all reports indicate Doncic never made one and was just as shocked as everyone else. Just 9 months ago, Luka Doncic had Rudy Gobert on skates before sinking his patented step-back 3. The cold-blooded shot over Gobert's outstretched arms sealed a Game 2 win for the Dallas Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals against the Minnesota Timberwolves. A week later, Dallas secured its first NBA Finals appearance since Dirk Nowitzki's legendary 2011 championship run. So how did the Mavericks go from that incredible playoff high to trading Doncic in less than a year? That was the question fans and analysts were left grappling with late Saturday night and into Sunday morning.
What we're looking at? I have no idea.
The shock factor wasn't just that Dallas moved on from its franchise player, it was how they did it. Sending Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers in exchange for Anthony Davis, who, while a star, is 6 years older and not at Luka's level, a marginal prospect in Max Christie, and a single first-round pick felt unfathomable. To make matters worse, Dallas even threw in a second-round pick, making it seem more like a routine salary dump. Doncic's rise to superstardom was as swift as it was historic. A teenage prodigy, he became the youngest player ever to win EuroLeague MVP before entering the 2018 NBA Draft. The Mavericks made him their cornerstone, trading up to acquire him after Atlanta selected him 3rd overall. From the start, Doncic proved he belonged. He averaged 21.2 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 6.0 assists as a rookie. Doncic proved he belonged Rookie of the Year. By his second season, he had already finished 4th in MVP voting, leading Dallas to the playoffs with a 43-32 record. His postseason debut was nothing short of spectacular, nearly averaging a 30-point triple-double as the 7th-seeded Mavericks pushed the 2nd-seeded Clippers to 6 games. Mavericks GM Nico Harrison has never shied away from bold moves. In 2023, he took a gamble on Kyrie Irving, despite the star guard's turbulent stint with the Brooklyn Nets. The following year, he acquired PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford, 2 players with no real playoff experience, before the trade deadline. That move, however, played a crucial role in Dallas's finals run. Despite never holding home court advantage, the Mavericks eliminated the Clippers, Thunder, and Timberwolves.
Doncic maneuvers for the lead. Got it!
On their way to the championship round, Doncic delivered a postseason stat line of 28.9 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 8.1 assists per game. While the Mavericks fell short of the title, Doncic was their only consistent offensive threat against the Celtics team, boasting a top 3 defense in both the regular season and playoffs. At just 25 years old and entering his prime, it seemed inevitable that he'd be back on the biggest stage sooner rather than later. Let's be clear, this isn't about diminishing Anthony Davis. The praise for Luka Doncic is fully justified given his unprecedented resume at his age and the sheer magnitude of this trade. Davis is a 10-time All-Star and one of the league's most dominant interior forces. His play in the 2020 NBA bubble was instrumental in the Lakers' championship run, and even now, he remains an elite defender, ranking top 3 in block shots. and top 15 in individual defensive rating this season. Throughout his career, he's been one of the NBA's premier paint protectors, something the Mavericks clearly valued. Under JJ Redick's system, he even flashed improved playmaking as an offensive hub. But as good as he simply isn't on Luka Doncic's level. In Dallas, Davis will have the opportunity to play power forward, a role he has openly preferred since the Lakers' title run. The issue, he's far more effective at center, and that spot is already one of the Mavericks' biggest strengths outside of their now former Luka Kyrie Irving core. Daniel Gafford is having a breakout year, and Derek Lively II is one of the best young big men in the league. For a consistent two-big lineup to function offensively, at least one of the bigs needs to stretch the floor and keep defenses honest. That's not Gafford's game, and Lively doesn't have that in his arsenal yet. Meanwhile, Davis's jumper has steadily declined since, well, the bubble. Offensively, the impact of losing Doncic will be massive.
And Dallas with a long rebound, and they've got George backpedaling, and it's Kyrie with
the Mavericks had the NBA's #1 offense in Luka's second season and finished in the top 8 in offensive efficiency 5 times over the past 6 years. Without him, Irving will take on even more shot creation duties. And while he's having a strong season, he's also 32 and dealing with a bulging disc in his back. On the bright side, Dallas should instantly become one of the NBA's best interior defensive teams and can roll out massive lineups to match up with other Western Conference contenders. The Mavericks clearly believe they can still compete at a high level post-Doncic. GM Nico Harrison even used the word championships when speaking with ESPN. "I believe that getting an all-defensive center and an all-NBA player with a defensive mindset gives us a better chance," Harrison said. "We're built to win now and in the future, but the risk here is undeniable. Dallas is now both old and expensive, and they don't control their first-round pick between 2027 and 2030, precisely when their current roster could bottom out. Irving turns 33 next month, and Davis turns 32. Neither has been particularly durable even at their best. The real question is, how long can an Irving-Davis duo realistically keep the Mavericks competitive in a stacked Western Conference? For the Los Angeles Lakers, this was an absolute no-brainer. The only real concern was getting the NBA office to process the trade as quickly as possible, before Dallas had second thoughts or started shopping Doncic to other teams. Throughout their storied history, the Lakers have been involved in some of the most monumental transactions in NBA history, but Saturday night's deal might just be the biggest of them all. Yes, there's always recency bias, and only time will tell how this trade ultimately plays out. But acquiring a 25-year-old 5-time All-Star and 5-time All-NBA first-team selection? Even by the Lakers' lofty standards, this is historic. In 1968, the Lakers pulled off one of the most shocking trades ever, landing Wilt Chamberlain from the Philadelphia 76ers in exchange for Doral Imhoff, Jerry Chambers, and Archie Clark. Somehow they kept their core of Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, and Gail Goodrich intact, propelling the franchise toward an eventual championship run. 7 years later, in 1975, they made another seismic move, acquiring Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, already a 3-time MVP and NBA champion, from the Milwaukee Bucks. Kareem wanted to play in a bigger market, and in Los Angeles, he cemented his legacy. He won 5 more championships, 3 more MVPs, and finished as the NBA's all-time leading scorer. The Lakers' ability to acquire generational talents extended to the draft as well. In 1979, they used a first-round pick, received as compensation from New Orleans after the Jazz signed Gail Goodrich, to select Magic Johnson first overall. Magic went on to define the 80s, leading the Lakers to 5 titles and revolutionizing the game with his Showtime-era brilliance. Then, in 1980, in another bold front office move, they sent Don Ford and a first-round pick to Cleveland for Butch Lee and the Cavaliers' 1982 first-rounder. Cleveland ended up with the league's worst record, setting the Lakers up for a coin flip with the San Diego Clippers for the #1 pick. They won, and drafted James Worthy, who helped lead the franchise to 7 NBA Finals in his first 9 seasons. In 1996, they struck gold again, acquiring Kobe Bryant from the Charlotte Hornets on draft night. Jerry West orchestrated the deal.
The Charlotte Hornets select Kobe Bryant,
convincing Charlotte to trade Bryant, whom they had just taken 13th overall, for center Vlade Divac. Kobe went on to become an 18-time All-Star, a 5-time champion, and one of the greatest players in NBA history. That same summer, the Lakers landed Shaquille O'Neal in one of the biggest free agent signings ever. Already an elite big man with the Orlando Magic, Shaq teamed up with Kobe to form one of the most dominant duos in league history, leading the Lakers to a three-peat from 2000 to 2002. The tradition of landing superstar talent continued in 2008 when they traded for Pau Gasol, acquiring him and a second-round pick from Memphis in exchange for Kwame Brown, Javaris Crittenton, Aaron McKie, the draft rights to Marc Gasol, and 2 first-round picks. Pau's arrival immediately transformed the Lakers, helping them reach the 2008 finals before winning back-to-back titles in 2009 and 2010. It was this legacy of winning and star power that helped lure LeBron James to Los Angeles in 2018 free agency. LeBron's arrival set the stage for yet another blockbuster move, trading for Anthony Davis in 2019, sending a package of young players and draft picks to New Orleans. That deal resulted in the 2020 NBA championship, cementing the Lakers as a title threat once again. And yet, despite this long history of franchise-altering acquisitions, the Doncic trade has the potential to be the biggest heist of them all. At full strength, Luka Doncic is unquestionably a top 5 player in the league.
Luka maneuvers away from the closeout.
In the postseason, he might be the best offensive force on the planet, thanks to his ability to manipulate matchups in the half-court, similar to how LeBron James dominated in his prime. His arrival in Los Angeles also resets the clock for a Lakers team that was aging and losing talent since its last championship run. Doncic's presence allows LeBron to take a much-needed step back on offense and, for perhaps the first time in his career, avoid being matched up against the opponent's best wing defender. That assignment now belongs to Luka. James's performance the night before the trade, a 33-point, 11-rebound, 12-assist triple-double against the New York Knicks, proved he still has plenty left in the tank. But asking him to sustain that level of effort night after night through the remainder of the regular season and into the playoffs is unrealistic. On paper, the James-Doncic pairing isn't as seamless as James alongside Davis, given the classic "there's only one ball" dilemma. But given their elite basketball IQs, you'd expect them to make it work, much like Chris Paul and James Harden did in Houston, despite both being at their best with the ball in their hands. The difference? James and Doncic are bigger, better, and far more versatile. The Lakers may even get Luka on a relative discount. Had he stayed in Dallas, he was eligible to sign a Supermax extension worth approximately $345 million over 5 years. The most he can sign with Los Angeles this summer is significantly less, $229 million over 5 years, per ESPN's front office insider Bobby Marks. It's likely Doncic signs a shorter extension with a player option in 2028, allowing him to re-sign after his 10th year of service and become eligible for a 35% cap deal.
Into Jackson Hayes. What a pass, Jackson, 3 goal!
Even so, the Lakers gained financial flexibility and an in-his-prime superstar to attract other talent. Of course, this move isn't without risk. Dallas's decision to trade a perennial MVP candidate entering his prime was, at least in part, driven by concerns about his conditioning and the looming commitment of a Supermax extension to a player they viewed as a long-term risk. Doncic's weight fluctuated in Dallas, sometimes reaching 270 pounds. His off-season work ethic has long been questioned. In November, he missed 5 games with what the team called a right wrist sprain. But according to ESPN's Tim McMahon, who has strong Mavs sources, it was essentially a get-in-shape break. His recurring calf issues are also concerning, with 4 separate injuries to his left calf, the latest sidelining him since Christmas Day. Comparisons to Joel Embiid's durability struggles might be premature, but they aren't baseless. Beyond the physical concerns, Doncic has a volatile personality, is a defensive liability, and at times lacks the day-to-day discipline teams expect from their franchise player. On the court, he's a megastar. Off the court, and in the grind of daily work, he's not for everyone. Still, the potential upside is undeniable. Before last year's trade deadline, the Mavericks added talent and rode that momentum to the finals. This time, they traded away their biggest star, hoping for an addition by subtraction effect. Now all eyes are on Luka. Once he returns to the court, we could see an angry, motivated version of himself. And if LeBron's legendary work ethic rubs off on him, this trade might go down as one of the most lopsided in NBA history. Do you think Luka is about to take over LA, or did the Mavericks actually win this trade by dumping him early? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more in-depth basketball stories and analysis.